we're back again working on the coupe, and what I'm doing this time is basically just putting together this IRS system. I haven't, as you can see, this frame is still in primer. I did want to actually paint it, get it all finished, so I was only assembling it the one time. But the thing is, speaking to a few blokes, and the consensus was it would be cool to paint this frame the same colour as the car, so body colour. And because I haven't decided on a colour yet, then I'm up the creek. So basically I didn't worry about it, just left it in epoxy, and just going to go ahead and assemble it. I'm going to see if I can, I think I can get away without putting the axles on. So that'll be one thing less to worry about. Basically all I want is mock-up so that I'm able to figure out exactly where I need the system to sit in the car, and then get things sort of fabbed up around it. So at the moment, as you can see, I've got the actual diff head in itself, and these lower control arms, they've been blasted. I gave them a blast just with my little pot blaster, and then just put a bit of VHT clear coat on them just to seal it up, and then getting these parts here, and this is where the actual hub bolts to. And yeah, they're looking a little bit grotty, and there's bits of overspray over them. So I think what I'll do is I think I'll hit them just with a little pot blaster as well, and just kind of like detail them and just seal them up. Yeah, so I think that's what I'll do next. So we'll jump straight into that. We'll get them blasted, and I think while I've got the blaster out, I think what I'll do is I'll blast that door frame that I took apart. Not the whole frame, but I'll just blast that lip with it, that the door skin folds over. I'll just get all the surface rust off that. And what else was I going to do? Oh yeah, the plenum. I think I'll give the underside of that just a little touch over with the blaster, and then put that in epoxy as well. So yeah, so that's what I'll do next. that wasn't exactly what I had planned when I got out of bed this morning, but I'm happy I did it. The reason I went to town on the door is because once I realised that, I'd blasted that surface rust off the edges, and I was just going to prime the edges because I wanted to prime the plenum cover, but then once I got it inside I thought, well, that's pretty stupid, like may as well just prime it once, get all these rust repairs done, and yeah, so that's what I did. I just hooked into all the rust repairs, so it's looking fairly good. There was some repairs needed here in this corner. There were 2 patches put in here. It was this whole corner was replaced. That was kind of interesting. I haven't actually done one of those before, so I was fairly happy with how it turned out. And then this little patch in here. And then, oh yeah, and the reason you actually saw me split the door was because I remembered that the reason I didn't use this particular door in the beginning, one of the reasons I didn't use it was because it was really bad fitting. It, like most coupes, most of the coupes out of the factory, they had a larger gap at the top than they did at the bottom. I don't know why, just poor quality, I suppose. But this particular door was a bit nasty in that I could get it into the door frame, but it was tight right down the bottom here, and so that's why I actually split it. And I'm not sure, I didn't actually measure, but I think it probably took 5 or 6 mil out of the bottom, and then it tapers up to nothing. So the line went up to here approximately. So started at 0, came down, went across and down, and yeah, so I just tried it earlier and it fits really good. So I obviously may have to do some modifications to the door skin, but that's fine. The main thing is that the door, at the end of the day, when the car's all finished, everything looks good and it's got good gaps, and that's what I was aiming for. So I've just been over both of these with the orbital. So yeah, now I'll just go ahead and wipe them down with thinners and then put them in the booth and paint them. Alright, we've got the plenum cover primed and the door frame for the driver's side primed. Just set the plenum back in place there and looking fairly good. And same with the driver's door, just got that sort of bolted into position. We'll have a look at that. Yeah, so that turned out after all those patches and that alteration to the rear of it. Now look, I don't know why, but when this door originally, when I went to put it on, it was basically lapping by a couple of mil right at the bottom here, and yet still had a gap up the top here. And it's just weird because the other door wasn't as extreme. I mean, it still had a bigger gap at the top and it was still tight at the bottom, but at least it would fit and it would clear. So anyway, so after going ahead and doing a little bit of a cut and shut on the bottom end of this door, what I've ended up with now is 7.16 at the bottom. There's a much bigger gap right there on the curve, the contour of the body panel. That's 12.3, and then at the top 7.2. Now, I reckon the top is 8.2. So I reckon that the bottom and the top, they're okay, they're acceptable, because remember, you've still got the door skin which has to go over, it still has to lap and fold around and all that sort of stuff. So, but this middle point here, 12.3, that's a bit extreme. But anyway, we'll see how we go with the door skin once I go and fit that up. But apart from that, the way it's set up is that along the bottom, there's a 6 mil gap along the bottom, and where it's sitting at the front, it's pretty much in the right place where I want it. So yeah, look, it's not perfect, but we're getting there. It's definitely way, way better than it was before. So anyway, happy enough with that. And these castings, I don't even know what you would call them, but these are the things that that the hub bolts to. So yeah, I gave them a clear coat yesterday, and pretty much ready to start installing. So that's what I'll do now. I'll just go ahead and see if I can figure out how to put this IRS together. Well, there you have it. She's all together. Well, together as in a mock-up form anyway. What I mean by that is a lot of these bolts I'm not sure if I'm going to use, like, you know, something like that, which really just doesn't look right. These are just bolts that came out of the original setup, so we'll see what happens, you know, when we do the final sort of assembly, whether we get some sort of aftermarket bolt or we tidy these up in some way. But it's looking pretty good. So some of these parts are aftermarket, like these arms in the gunmetal colour. They're all aftermarket. The springs are aftermarket. I didn't buy those; they're actually on the Mustang when I bought it, but yeah, they're definitely not OEM. So yeah, I like that cover. You know, it's like, I could have painted it, but that's going to basically, you know, make everything disappear. Could have chromed it, but this is not I don't think this car would suit chrome. I think this car is more about engineering, so we'll see how we go with durability. I'm not sure if that powder coat is a long-lasting thing. They basically just powder coated straight onto the bare steel, so anyway, we'll see. But it would be nice to leave it like that. I sort of show Con's beautiful TIG welding skills. But I'm happy that it's come together. I mean, when I first looked at, you know, the Mustang diff, a mate of mine said, why don't you just shorten it so it'll fit in the XB? And I was like, no, that'd be too complex. Imagine everything you'd have to change. And I mean, this was complex, but I mean, Con did a great job, and it was all just about shortening the cradle, remounting the diff head, and then remaking the axles. So I won't say it's an easy task. I mean, it was involved, and you know, I had a couple of really skilled guys help me with that. And yes, it wasn't cheap, but at the end of the day, it's something unique. I mean, yeah, it's just unique. I haven't seen anyone shorten one of these before. I've seen examples in the States where they've actually used an aftermarket cradle, or you know, they've basically made one up out of chrome moly or whatever. But I think this is unique in the way that I've actually had the OEM part shortened, so it all fairly much looks like a stock unit. And just to answer anyone's question, if anyone's curious, yes, you could put this in an XB, you know, as is, without altering it, without shortening it the way I did. There'd be, you know, you'd definitely be able to do it. But the thing is that if you did that, if you put something in that's 200mm wider than a stock XB diff, then you wouldn't be able to use those nice deep dish wheels that we like using. You'd end up, you know, basically with a set of modern Mustang mag wheels, sort of thing that doesn't have any dish. And me personally, I don't like that on a coupe. I think coupes, you know, with the shape of them, the big guards and everything, I just think they just look awesome when they've got those, you know, big wheels with deep dishes. So that's my taste. It's not everyone's taste, but that's just how I feel. And that's why I went to all the trouble of having this thing shortened up, so that I'm still able to put those big deep dish wheels on, but have this modern technology. So I might just sit it down on the bench to get a better look. So I haven't put the axles in mainly because if I don't need to, there's no point putting them in. This is just mock-up. This is just to basically figure out how to mount it in the car. And I don't need the axles to do that. Even if I want to put the wheels on, I can simply just mount the hubs on there. But yeah, I don't need the axles. Yeah, because these axles, like, they're just beautiful. They've been powder coated as well, and I just, you know, to get them in and out, I can't remember. I think you have to lever them at some point to get them out, but yeah, I just didn't want to bother putting them in if I didn't need to. Here's the hubs. So I don't think I want to use these hubs. I mean, the car had about 27,000 Ks from new. That's fine. The bearings are probably okay, but you know, they're rusty, they're grotty, so I'll probably end up buying a new set of hubs at some stage. These are the shocks. Actually, one of the shocks was completely smashed to pieces, and the passenger side shock from the Mustang, that is, it was okay. That's it here. So it's clearly an aftermarket one. I ordered a set of shocks over the internet from a wrecker, and they're obviously OEM shocks, just standard Mustang ones. It was probably a waste of money because I'm not going to use them. They're obviously a lot shorter too. If you put that one next to it, this aftermarket one's like 2 inches shorter, and yeah, so anyway, I'll probably mock it up with this aftermarket one. So yeah, all right, well, that's about it for this episode, so I'm going to wrap it up here, and hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you in the next one.